there was an article I saw on the Daily Mail, and it was like mothers post about how they regret having kids and what their lives were like before kids. There's another post where it was like, mothers talk about the regret and how awful their children are. And I'm just like, man, they really don't want you to have, like, they really want to prop up these narratives about how having kids is bad.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can just control everybody else's kids through the government school system. So.
Yeah.
Too many of them. Got to blow them up.
Well, in the UK, they even had advertisement being like, do you want a baby or do you want to play video games? As if video games were a good thing, which, again, a lot of people are finding, themselves addicted to. And again, I think a lot of this is multifaceted. I think there is an element of it that is running away from personal responsibility. I think there's also an element of it that is pro-consumer, pro-multinational corporation that understands that if people don't have kids, that they don't have strong family units, people will, of course, use that energy towards supporting them rather than themselves and their family members. And I think deeper down, there's also an elitist level where it's like, okay, we need to get rid of the people on this world. There's too many of them. We need to do population control. We need to do eugenics, but we're, doing it in many underhanded ways that, of course, is essentially at the end of the day, reducing the number of people on this world, which already has hit a critical level where we are going to be dealing with a civilization crash very soon.
All right, question. Are there too many people?
We need more. We need more.
Yeah.
We need more because, look, in the future, we have all this national debt. We'll have it spread over more people so that it can pay it off in the future. If you have more people, you could have more resources, and that's what we really want.
How do you have more resources?
So, like the left's thinking of we have too many people and we have to control population is the fixed pie fallacy, that there's a finite amount of resources.
Yes.
And you divide it among this many people. And if you have more people, then that means fewer resources for each individual person. But that assumes that people don't create these resources themselves. And so I think we don't have enough people.
Yeah,
So-
that's based
Absolutely, we
in
don't.
socialism too. Like, because they want, the more people in their fixed finite whatever. Like, you're going to get one bar of soap that you get to choose from. They drop stuff like that. So that's coming from kind of their communist or their socialist, perspective. And then if you look at getting rid of the family, that's a tenet of Marxism. Like a lot of these go back to Marxism. It's everywhere.
And it's not just financial ramifications of less people being around, but statistically the population is increasing, but is expected to go down dramatically. If you look at the Western world, people aren't reproducing enough. This is not only going to lead to a financial crisis, but this is going to lead to a very serious one, which Elon Musk has even compared to the potentially the greatest risk to humanity is people not reproducing enough. And if you look at also what's happening behind the scenes with testosterone levels, sperm levels, all of them dramatically going down, there's a big probability that human beings could become infertile very soon with the rates of just estrogen, with the rates of chemical warfare that is happening that no one really wants to talk about, which is absolutely absurd.
Well, certainly resources are not infinite, and more people doesn't mean more resources. It means less. Like, there's a finite amount of rare earth minerals that we can extract from the planet. It may be such a great number we're nowhere near reaching that cap, but the planet is finite in terms of what its mass is and what we can extract. Not to mention that there's a certain amount of we can overfish. We've made animals go extinct before. At a certain point, I think the question is wrongly framed when it's, are there too many people? It's, are we managing the system properly? I think the answer is no. I think it's not being managed properly. And the response from people like Bill Gates is, instead of trying to figure that out, just less people. Because then you don't got to worry about it. I think I'm thinking about AOC's district or Nancy Pelosi's district, 770 some odd thousand people. How do you effectively govern that many people? You can't. So the issue isn't necessarily one of proper allocation of resources. It may be, can you effectively manage this many people like together? Can they work together in such a way? I would say right now, the systems we put in place a couple hundred years ago can't account for this, because they were expecting like 35,000 people per member of Congress. And now we have nearly 1 million, 750,000. But that just means we need to figure out a better way of managing expectations and working within the representative system.
Well, there's ways of having a sustainable system. There's ways of individuals being responsible for themselves, having their own farms, producing their own food. There's enough to go around. Nature is an abundant, beautiful landscape that is ready just to grow food out of the ground. And what we're seeing from the central controllers, from the Bill Gateses, from the Klaus Schwabs is move into a city, go eat the bugs, and live in a pot. And again, that's not the answer here. The real answer here is people finding themselves in nature and becoming dependent on themselves and not responsible and not dependent on the federal government.
And this is another reason why I don't trust any of their narratives on climate change or overpopulation. Because they had that video, The Line, the city where they're going to put everybody in a super condensed space. And I'm like, population density is supposedly the problem, the pollution, the waste. But they're not. I don't think they actually care about climate change. I don't think they actually care about overpopulation. They care about creating a reason to scare you into living under their control. Elon Musk is right. We need more people. I was watching Star Trek. You guys see remember the new Star Trek with what's his name, Chris Pine? Yeah. Is that his name? And there's that scene where he rides up on the motorcycle and he sees the gigantic starship. And I'm just thinking, how many people do you need to build something like that? It's massive. We're trying to build a building right now, and it's like a 7,500 square foot building, and it's taken like a year to get done because of supply chain crunch. Imagine trying to build this massive starship that has faster than light travel and can hold thousands of people or whatever. And I was like, you don't just need more people, you need more specialists. So that means with all the people we have, my point is Elon Musk is right. The more people you have, the more specialties you can have. Like some dude can be a chocolatier. I was reading about some guy wanted to be a chocolate, and I'm just like, it's kind of a crazy thing. Oh no, it was the Bros movie when it was like the guy wanted to be a chocolatier or whatever. It was part of the movie in the review, and I'm like, what a job. Like go back several hundred years and it's like you're in the middle of the wilderness with a hatchet and you're like, I'm going to stop hunting and go make chocolate. Like, it's not going to happen. No. But as population grows, everybody can assume a very specific job and specialty. So the more people we have, the more capabilities technologically we have. But I think Bill Gates knows this. I think these powerful elites know this. So their attitude is, we don't necessarily want to get rid of people. We want to get rid of certain people and have everybody else live in the cities, eat the bugs, and do what we want them to do so we can have nice things.
Well, I think what you hit on earlier is important too, though, that it depends on the system that we operate in. And so if we have more personal responsibility, more of a free market competition and trade, then the thing that I was pointing out earlier, that you can get stuck in a fixed pie fallacy if you don't have those incentives in place. But if you do have a free market and there is competition, there is capitalism, you can have an incentive to produce more, even though there is more people on the planet. You have more resources per person as opposed to the opposite.
And I think it's more than I just want to have nice things or I want to have it all. I think there's a deeper religious, spiritual aspect to this that I think, it may be not worth talking about now, but there's a lot of circumstantial evidence highlighting how human progression has been created with, of course, abundant energy. And we see a lot of central controllers deny energy to populations, which, of course, denies the progression of humanity, progression of human beings, progression of innovation and technology that, of course, creates life, a better life that is more resilient, that is more amazing, that is more incredible. They're denying that.
What if Moloch is real and he wants the blood of children? And hey, look, for all we know, Bill Gates is he's down in the deep dungeon and there's a big door with big chains across it, and he's like, and there's a bunch of guys holding the door. He's like, hold them back, I'll bring the children in. And brings in a bunch of kids.
They used to sacrifice children in ancient civilizations, and this is a practice that, of course, probably didn't go away, from my own personal opinion and perspective. Just the way I see the way society plays out right now, you see everything going towards one trajectory, and that is destruction of humanity, destruction of the human spirit, and the will of humanity to progress, build, and grow. You see the government standing in the way, you see the multinational corporations standing in the way, you see the bankers, you see the central controllers and billionaires standing in the way of the biggest amazing human potential that we could unleash on the world, and they're literally trying to control our thoughts through social media, which is and limit those thoughts and limit our energy and limit our ability to do so, which is infuriating because there's so much wonders about our existence. There's so many questions, there's so much science, there's so much intelligence, but all of that is just being pooped on by by all these satanic
Whoa.
child hurting nasty human beings that don't like the human spirit and stand against it.
So there's a Japanese term, it's called ikigai, and iki means life and gai means worth. And essentially that's the intersection of what you're good at, what you love to do, what gives you purpose. And we're at a point where we're privileged, you know. I hate using that word because they've repurposed it, but the fact that we can be chocolatiers.
Yeah.
You know, like we can be YouTubers. We can be whatever we want to be. You know, and the people that love what they do are the people that add goodness and joy to the world. And like we're blessed to be living in a place where we don't have to, you know, hack up trees and, you know, like grunt to communicate with each other. You know, so we're in a good place. We're in a good place for ikigai, and we gotta kind of figure out how to hold that. You know, on a side note too, I was just thinking when we were talking about all the people preventing ikigai, essentially, the banks. There was one banker, a CEO of somewhere, and he was questioned by Congress on ESG, and he was like, absolutely not. And it was Rashida Tlaib who asked the question, Diamond. And she didn't even know what. Yes, and she didn't even know what to do. She was just like, oh, and she was like all, you know, flabbergasted, and she was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that you just want climate change. I don't even know. Like she said something totally irrational, like and reactionary to him. But yeah, I was like, okay, well, you know what? This is good because ESG is to the economy what CRT is to schools. Like this is bad.
So Tim, you had asked about the population, too much or too little. The temperature on Earth, is it too high or too low?
Neither.
We don't know what the best answer is, right? I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Just depends on what your preference is, I guess.
The world goes through normal undulation when it comes to hot and cold temperatures. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. And
thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.